Today I'm going to show you how to color grade Canon C-Log3 inside of DaVinci Resolve. But before we do so, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Motion Array. If you're a content creator like myself and want to level up your video production, check out Motion Array. With pre-made transitions, templates, audio effects, and even plugins, Motion Array has everything you need to make your videos look better. To get $50 off your annual subscription, check out the link below. Thank you to Motion Array for sponsoring the channel, and back to the video. The first thing we're going to do is go over to the color tab. And this is where we'll be spending most of the time in today's video. Then we're going to go up into the effects panel. If this isn't visible, just press on the effects in the top right corner. Then search for color space transform. Then add that to the first node. Now we're going to transform the color space from Canon C-Log3 to our timeline color space. To do so, go into input color space and go down to Canon Cinema Gamut. And then go into input gamma and go down to Canon Log 3. There we go. Now we're transforming the color space from Canon Log 3 to our timeline color space. Now, this looks better, but it's not quite what we want. As you can see, the skin tones are just a little pink. Then we're going to go down to the effects panel and go to the curve section. Go to the second curve and then add a couple dots on every single line, just like that. So what we're going to do is add the little eyedropper tool and select my skin tone. There it is. Now we can move this down a little bit to where it becomes a little bit more tan. Now it's a little bit sharp, so I'm just going to move this over here. And then I'm going to go in the last node and bring that up just a tiny bit. Okay, that's a lot better. But to get this exactly right, we're gonna add a little mask. So go over into the window section and grab the little spline tool. Then we're going to draw a little mask around my face, and then let's disable the gallery so we can enable this tool right here. Now we're going to go into the scope section and change it from waveform to vector scope. There we go. And as you can see, the skin tone line isn't quite on the skin tone line. And that's that little white line that goes right there. So we're going to go back into curves and then adjust this so it falls right on the skin tone line, right about there. Now our skin tones are accurate, so we can disable this window by just clicking on it, and there we go, skin tones are accurate. But it doesn't look quite saturated enough. So what we're going to do is go into the curve section and go hue versus sat. We're gonna do the same thing with all the little droppers like that, and then we're gonna bring up the saturation of the reds, and then we're also gonna bring up the blues as well, pretty high. Awesome. Now I want my eyes to be a little bit bluer than that, so I'm just going to hit Option S and select my eye color. Then we're gonna bring it up even more on a new node. Now that's probably just a little bit too much, so we can bring it down just a little bit more. And then we're gonna hit Option S again, so we have a new node with that new saturated look. And as you can see, this looks pretty good. Here's the clip before and after. But there's a little bit more we can do if we have one more thing, and that is a color checker. So what I'm going to do is just duplicate this clip, so Command C, Command V, go back into the color space, and we can delete all of these nodes, just like that. Now we're gonna keep the color space transformed because we're going to need that. But let's move along the timeline to where I pull up the color checker. Now if you don't have the color checker, you can do the same process I showed you before, but with the color checker, we can get some more accurate results that look a little bit better. So I'm just going to go where it is nice and flat like that. Going to hit Option S to create a new node again, just like we did earlier. Now this is where we really take advantage of the hue versus hue. We're gonna drop all these little lines, and then we're going to make our vector scope much bigger. That's a little bit too big. Now you can see all these little spots. What we can do to make this more visible is go down to the masks tool and draw a mask around the color checker passport. So we just see the passport. Now you can see all the little marks and stuff on the screen. We're going to go back into hue versus hue, and we can move these around. So like just the blue, just the magenta, like that, just the red. So what we're going to do is line up all these little spots of color with the little boxes with the color in it. So what we can do is go into the next section with the hue versus sat and do the same little thing. Now we're going to even our saturation level across all the colors. So I can see magenta is a little bit too high, so we can bring that down. Red is a little bit too high, we can bring that down. Blue is too high, yellow is a little bit too high. I can't see green at all, we can bring that up. It's not really there. Oh, there it is. It was just outside the vector scope. It was way too high. Probably the same thing with aqua. Yep, there it is. And then we're just going to go back into hue versus hue and adjust these to where they're all inside the boxes. Now all of our colors are right where they're supposed to be, but you can see the skin tone line, the little 3 dots right here, aren't quite on the skin tone line. So what we're going to do is go back to the hue versus hue and then draw some more little points to make sure we can get those right on the skin tone line. Now that affected yellow a little bit, so we can bring yellow back, and there we go. Now we're going to disable our masks so we can see the whole scene, and that looks much more even and natural than the other grade. But that's because we had the information to make it that way. So now we have a very even, like, correct grade, but now we can get into some of the creative stuff. So we're going to disable our scopes, and actually I forgot one little thing we're going to do first. We're gonna hit Option S, and we're going to go back to waveform, like this, and we're gonna set our exposure levels. So So we're going to go into the main curve section and bring this up. Okay, now we're gonna hit Option S now that our exposure curve is done and that our color is done. And now we're really gonna move on to the creative stuff. I want my eyes to be a little bit more blue than they are in this scene. So we can go back to hue versus sat, draw a little eyedropper on my eyes and bring up the saturation of just those colors. And there we go, this clip is color graded. Now going back to the first clip right here, I can see that the second clip is a little bit more contrasty than I think is needed. So let's go back into that curve and maybe bring down the highs just a little bit. Let's go back to the first clip right here, and this is the grade we did with no reference information, just the color space transform and the couple effects that we did. And it looks pretty good. Now let's go to the second clip, and you can see that it looks a little bit more natural and more accurate than the first grade, but that's because we had that color checker. Now, this is pretty easy to grade once you get the hang of it. As always, if you want to become a better editor or color grader, just make more videos and just color grade more clips. The more you do it, the better you'll get. Now, if you want to pick up a color checker passport video, like I used in this video, check out the Amazon affiliate links below. They're around like $120 and they really help out and speed up the process. That's pretty much it for today's video. But before we go, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Motion Array. If you want to take your videos to the next level, sign up to Motion Array today using my link and you'll receive $50 off your annual subscription. And congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. If you want to watch another one, there's one where I unboxed a massive 600mm lens right here, and there's two more below me. And let us know in the comment section down below what videos we should make next.